The alien ship appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. It was huge, like a floating city made of metal and light. Every radar and satellite on the planet caught it at the same time. Governments panicked. The world had always wondered if aliens existed, but no one expected them to arrive like this. Inside the ship, tall gray creatures stood in silence. Their skin looked like wet stone, and their black eyes reflected no light. They were called the Zorthon. For centuries, they had destroyed and conquered many planets. To them, humans were weak, emotional, and unworthy of survival. They had come not to talk, but to take. In a secret underground base in Nevada, the human response team watched the live feed. General Hayes stood in front of the main screen, his jaw tight. Behind him, scientists whispered to each other, afraid to speak loudly. On the screen, the alien ship slowly opened a massive gate, releasing a blue beam toward Earth's surface. "Sir," said one of the young technicians, "the beam is not a weapon. It's scanning every major city. They're mapping our defenses." General Hayes nodded. "They're planning an invasion." The room went silent. Only the soft hum of the computers could be heard. Then a sharp alarm echoed through the speakers. A message had been received, a direct transmission from the alien ship. It was a voice deep and cold, translated by the computer into human language. "Humans of Earth," the voice said, "your time is over. You will surrender your planet, your technology, and your resources. Resistance will lead to extinction. You have 1 hour to decide." Everyone in the room froze. The voice continued, "We do not negotiate with lower species. We do not offer mercy twice." Then the transmission ended. General Hayes looked around the room. "Get me Dr. Reed," he said. Now, Dr. Amelia Reed was one of the lead scientists in the Earth Defense Project. She walked into the control room, her white coat swinging as she moved. Her eyes were sharp but calm. "What do we know?" she asked. "They want surrender," Hayes said. "They think we're a lower species." Dr. Reed looked at the giant ship on the screen. "They're wrong," she said quietly. "They have no idea what they're dealing with." Outside, panic had already started. News channels broadcast the alien message around the world. People ran through the streets. Some prayed. Others shouted that it was the end of humanity. But somewhere in a small lab in Iceland, another group of scientists worked on something secret, something no one believed could ever be used. It was called Project Echo, a system built to send energy back through space, strong enough to disable any technology that used neural frequencies. It had never been tested. The risk was enormous. If it failed, it could destroy half the planet's power grid. Dr. Reed knew about Project Echo. She had helped design it.
No.
And now she realized this was their only chance. She turned to the general. "Sir, we can't fight them with ships or missiles. We'll lose. But if we activate Echo, we can hit them where they don't expect inside their own systems." General Hayes frowned. "You're saying use a weapon that's never been tested? It could fry every satellite and communication system we have?" "Yes," she said, "or we surrender and die." For a moment, the room went silent again. Hayes took a deep breath. "Do it." In Iceland, deep under the frozen ground, the Echo team received the activation code. Red lights flashed in the control room. The lead engineer, a man named Victor, looked nervous. "Once we start, there's no turning back," he said. "Then let's begin," Dr. Reed said through the radio. The massive coils of the machine began to spin. Energy gathered, bright and unstable. The readings on the monitors spiked higher than ever before. Above Earth, the alien ship prepared to fire. Their main weapons started to glow, gathering power. From orbit, the Zorthon commander watched, confident that within minutes, the human race would kneel. But just before they could fire, something strange happened. Their control panels flickered. The lights dimmed. Alarms screamed in their alien language. "System error," one of the Zorthon shouted. "Unknown feedback detected." The commander slammed his clawed hand on the control pad. "Find the source." But there was no time. A wave of invisible energy surged through their systems. The great ship trembled as if struck by an invisible storm. Back on Earth, in the Nevada base, everyone watched the radar as the alien ship started to lose altitude. The blue beam stopped. Dr. Reed whispered, It's working. The ship fell lower and lower, its lights fading. But then, a final transmission came through the radio. Not a threat this time, but a voice full of fear. Humans, please, stop. We surrender. We beg for mercy. The room fell silent. No one moved. General Hayes stared at the screen. They're begging? Dr. Reed's face was calm, but her eyes were cold. She leaned forward, pressed the transmit button, and said in a steady voice, "Now you know how it feels." The alien ship no longer shone like before. Its metal surface, once bright with blue energy, was now dark and cracked. Smoke drifted through the edges of its hull as it hovered weakly over the ocean. The once proud vessel of the Zorthon Empire looked wounded alive, but barely. Inside, chaos ruled. Sparks flew from broken control panels. Alarms wailed in strange tones. The Zorthon commander, Kareth, tried to stand, but gravity fluctuated around him. His black eyes darted to the main screen. "Status report," he shouted. One of his officers turned to him, his voice trembling. "Our systems are collapsing. Power at 15%. Life support failing." Kareth slammed his clawed hand against the wall. "How did this happen? The humans? They cannot possess technology strong enough to reach us." But deep down, even Kareth felt fear. In his long life of conquest, he had never heard another species make the Zorthon beg. And yet, here they were, powerless before a planet they had called weak. On Earth, the world watched the falling ship on live broadcasts. Across every screen, one message appeared from the United Nations Control Center. "Do not attack. Stand by for orders." Locked. Dr. Reed stood beside General Hayes in the Nevada base, her eyes locked on the feed. She had expected damage, not total collapse. "Sir," said a technician, "the ship is descending fast. It's heading toward the Atlantic Ocean. Can we track its landing site?" "Yes, sir. About 200 miles off the coast of Ireland." Hayes turned to Reed. "You did it. You made the impossible happen." Dr. Reed didn't smile. "We don't celebrate yet. We need to see what's inside that ship. We need to know why they begged for mercy." A few hours later, the world held its breath as military drones surrounded the crash site. The alien ship floated half-sunk in the cold Atlantic, massive and silent. The once blue lights were now pale white, flickering like dying stars. A small submarine carrying a team of human soldiers and scientists moved closer. Among them was Lieutenant Mason, a young but brave officer who had volunteered for first contact. "This is Mason," he said through the radio. "We're approaching the hull. The size is enormous. I can see symbols on the side glowing, shifting like they're alive." "Copy that," came General Hayes' voice from command. "Proceed with caution." The submarine attached to a docking hatch. Mason and his team entered the ship. The air inside was thick and heavy. Strange liquid dripped from the walls, and the lights blinked slowly, like a dying heartbeat. "What the hell happened here?" One soldier whispered. Then they saw them, the Zorthon crew. Dozens of tall, gray figures lay on the floor, motionless. Some were breathing weakly, others already dead. Mason walked carefully through the corridor until he reached the command room. There, slumped over the control panel, was Commander Kareth. His once powerful frame looked fragile now. He raised his head slowly as Mason entered. His voice was low, broken, human. "What have you done to us?" Mason aimed his weapon but didn't fire. "You attacked our planet." Kareth shook his head. "No weapon should do this. It's inside us. It burns our thoughts. It silences our minds." Dr. Reed, listening from the command center, froze. "Inside their minds," she repeated. The ecosystem had been designed to send an energy wave to disrupt neural frequencies, but it was supposed to target machines, not living beings. Somehow the aliens' own technology had turned against them. On the ship, Kareth's body trembled. "You don't understand. You've touched something greater than technology. You've awakened the core." "The core?" Mason asked. Kareth coughed, a strange black smoke leaving his mouth. "Our power, our control, all from the core. It links every Zorthon mind. When your weapon struck us, it reached the core too. And now it is angry." The floor beneath them vibrated. The ship groaned like a wounded beast. "Command, this is Mason," he shouted. "The ship's reacting again. I think something's happening inside their systems." On the screens in Nevada, new readings appeared, a growing pulse deep within the ship. Dr. Reed's eyes widened. "That's not energy," she said. "That's a signal. They're calling for help." "Help?" Hayes asked. "From who?" "Not from another ship," Reed whispered. "From the core itself, wherever that is." Above Earth's orbit, space began to shimmer. Visible waves moved like ripples in water. One by one, new blips appeared on the radar, hundreds of them. Hayes' face went pale. More ships, a whole fleet. The Zorthon fleet had arrived, responding to the distress signal. On the crashed ship, Kareth laughed weakly. "You humans think you've won. But now, the core will see your world. It will not stop until Earth is dust." Mason's team retreated toward the submarine, alarms blaring again as the alien hull started to glow. In Nevada, Dr. Reed's voice was firm. "General, if that fleet reaches orbit, we won't survive another attack. We need to shut the core down completely." Hayes looked at her.
Ow.
"You said we can't hit it directly." "I know," she said. "But we can find it." She turned to her computer, typing fast. "If I can trace the signal back to its source, we might locate where the core is hiding." Hayes stepped closer. "And if you find it?" Reed looked up, her eyes sharp. "Then we end it, no matter where it is." Outside the windows, the sky began to darken, not from night, but from the shadow of something enormous entering orbit and far above Earth in the silent void of space. The core, the true mind of the Zorthon, finally opened its eyes. The world watched in silence as the sky above Earth changed. Massive alien ships appeared, one after another, darkening the stars. Each one was larger than a city, their hulls glowing with strange green symbols. The Zorthon fleet had arrived, answering the distress call from their fallen flagship. In the Nevada base, alarms rang through the control room. Technicians shouted as red lights flashed across the screens, multiple ships entering orbit. One officer cried, "We count at least 18, no 90 vessels." General Hayes stared at the holographic map. "They're forming a perimeter. They're blocking every exit point." Dr. Reed stood beside him, typing quickly on her computer. Her voice was steady, but her eyes showed the weight of what she knew. "They're not just here to fight," she said. "They're here to protect the core." "Where is it?" Hayes asked. "I'm tracking the neural signal from their communication network," Reed replied. "It's faint, but constant. Whatever the core is, it's not on those ships. It's somewhere else." As the base trembled from distant energy waves, Reed's computer beeped. She froze. "Oh my God," she whispered. "The signal isn't coming from space. It's coming from Earth." Everyone turned toward her. "What do you mean?" Hayes demanded. Reed swallowed. "The core isn't out there. It's buried under us, deep beneath the planet's crust." The room went silent. The realization hit like a thunderbolt. "You're saying it's been here all along?" Hayes asked. Reed nodded slowly. "I think they didn't come to invade Earth. They came to wake it up." Before anyone could respond, the base lights flickered. Then the power went out. The only glow came from Reed's monitor, still connected to the core signal. It pulsed like a heartbeat. "Backup generators online." A soldier shouted. The lights returned, but something else had changed. The computers began showing strange data, energy spikes rising from under the Earth's surface. "It's spreading fast," Reed said. "Something is activating underground. It's moving toward the planet's magnetic center." In the Atlantic Ocean, near the crashed alien ship, the water began to churn. Giant waves formed as glowing cracks appeared on the ocean floor. The submarine crew barely escaped as a massive surge of light erupted from beneath. A column of bright green energy shot upward into the sky, reaching all the way to the alien fleet. The ships immediately changed formation, turning toward the glowing ocean. In the Nevada base, Reed stared at the feed in horror. It's connecting. The core is merging with the fleet. It's feeding them power. General Hayes clenched his fists. "If that thing fully connects, we're finished." Can we shut it down? Reed shook her head. Not from here. We need to go to the source. Hayes frowned. You're suggesting we go to the core itself? Yes, Reed said firmly. We have to. If we can reach the activation point before it completes the link, we might be able to destroy it. Within an hour, a small strike team was formed. Reed, Lieutenant Mason, and a group of soldiers were sent toward the Atlantic in a stealth aircraft. They flew through storm clouds and electric turbulence. Guided only by the glowing light from the ocean, inside the aircraft. Mason checked his weapon and turned to Reed. You sure this isn't suicide? Reed looked out the window at the chaos below. If we don't stop it, there won't be anyone left to call it that. As they descended, the sea below them split open, revealing a massive black structure rising from the depths. It was unlike any technology humans had ever seen. Half machine, half living matter, pulsing with energy. That's it, Reed said softly. That's the core. The aircraft landed on a rocky platform nearby. The air smelled of ozone and burning metal. The ground shook under their feet. Mason looked at the structure. How do we destroy something like that? Reed opened a metal case and revealed a small cylindrical device glowing blue. This is an echo reactor, a smaller version of the weapon we used before. But this time, it's tuned to one frequency, the core zone. She glanced at Mason. We place it at the center and trigger it manually. Mason frowned. Manually? There's no remote detonation? Reed hesitated. It needs human input to sync properly. A computer can't imitate consciousness. Someone has to stay. Before he could respond, the core shifted. A deep sound echoed through the air, like a heartbeat amplified by thunder. Then a voice filled their minds, not through speakers, but directly inside their thoughts. You dare touch me? It said. The voice was calm, ancient, and terrifying. You are the ones who called me awake. Reed clutched her head in pain. It's communicating telepathically, she gasped. The ground split as massive tendrils of metal and light rose from the core, wrapping around the rocks. One slammed into the aircraft, destroying it instantly. The soldiers opened fire, but their bullets dissolved in midair. Run, Mason shouted. Get to the center. They sprinted through falling debris, dodging the glowing tendrils. Reed carried the echo reactor, protecting it with her body as the world around her burned. Inside the core structure, strange alien shapes glowed on the walls. It wasn't just a machine, it was alive, breathing, watching them. Finally, they reached the center, a vast chamber filled with swirling energy. In the middle floated a sphere of light, pulsing like a living heart. Reed stared at it, awe and fear mixing in her eyes. This is it. She placed the reactor on the platform and began syncing it. The core's voice grew louder. You think you can destroy what you do not understand? You are made of the same chaos that birthed me. Reed ignored it, focusing on the controls. Almost there. Suddenly a blast of energy hit her, throwing her to the ground. Mason ran forward, helping her up. The reactor was glowing brighter now, vibrating Dr. Reed. It's overloading, he shouted. Reed looked at the reactor, then at Mason. If it overloads before sinking, it'll kill us, but not the core. Then what do we do? Mason asked. Reed took a breath, her voice steady. I'll finish it manually. Mason shook his head. No, you won't. But before he could stop her, Reed stepped forward into the blinding light. The last thing she said was, tell them. Humanity fought back. Then everything exploded in white. The explosion lit up the ocean like a second sun. For a few seconds, everything turned white. Sky, water, and air, all swallowed by a blinding flash. The shock wave rippled across the Atlantic, throwing waves higher than mountains. Every radar on Earth went blank. Every satellite lost signal, then silence. In the Nevada base, the control room was filled with static. Technicians tried to restore communication, their hands shaking. Sir, all channels are down, one shouted. No response from the strike team. We've lost them. General Hayes stared at the main screen, a gray blur where the core once glowed. Get me visuals, he said. The screen flickered and slowly came back to life. The glowing ocean was gone. The energy readings had vanished. All that remained was a massive crater where the sea boiled from heat. The core was gone. Hayes exhaled slowly. She did it. But no one cheered. No one smiled. Everyone in the room knew what it had cost. Dr. Reed, Hayes whispered, lowering his head. Far above Earth, the Zorthon fleet began to scatter. Without the core signal, their ships lost coordination. Some powered down completely, drifting helplessly through orbit. Others fled into the darkness of space, their lights fading as they disappeared. Around the world, people came out of hiding. Crowds filled the streets, looking at the sky, cheering and crying. The invasion had stopped. Humanity had survived, but under the Atlantic, where the explosion had begun, something still moved. Deep inside the darkness, the remains of the core pulsed faintly. A spark of green energy flickered, spreading across broken pieces of alien metal. The light gathered into a single point, a small, glowing crystal. Inside it, a human silhouette appeared for just a second, the face of Dr. Amelia Red before vanishing again. Days later, General Hayes stood at a memorial site built near the ocean. Hundreds of people had gathered. Flags from every nation waved under gray clouds. A soldier handed him a small metal box, the recovered Echo reactor casing, burned and melted. Inside, they had found something strange. Fragments of unknown material mixed with human DNA. Hayes looked at it quietly. "You became part of it, didn't you?" he murmured. Behind him, Lieutenant Mason approached, limping from injuries, but alive. "Sir," he said, "we found something else in the wreckage. It's a message." Hayes turned. "From who?" Mason hesitated. "From her." He handed over a small data chip. Hayes inserted it into a portable console. A flickering hologram appeared Dr. Reed's face. Tired but calm. "If you're seeing this," her recorded voice said, "it means I didn't make it back. But I need you to know the core wasn't destroyed. It was neutralized, temporarily. I could feel its mind before the explosion. It wasn't just a machine. It was alive. And afraid." The room went silent. Reed's voice continued. "It said something before the light took over that Earth wasn't chosen by accident. The core didn't find us. It remembered us." Then the message ended. Hayes stared at the hologram, confused. "Remembered us? What does that mean?" Mason looked at him. "Maybe humanity isn't as new as we think." That night in the Nevada base, Dr. Reed's files were open for deeper study. Her logs contained months of secret research she had never shared. They showed one shocking theory that the Zorthon didn't create the core. They discovered it, buried in a dead world long before humans existed. And some of the energy signatures it used matched the frequency of human brevs. Hayes read the last line of her notes out loud. "Humans in the core share even a fragment of connection. It means something greater. Maybe we were never separate." At that same moment, in the far reaches of space, one of the disabled Zorthon ships drifted lifelessly. Inside, the few surviving crew members huddled in darkness. Suddenly, their control panels flickered to life. A familiar voice echoed through their ship, soft but unmistakable. "Do not be afraid." It was Dr. Reed's voice. The aliens froze. Who speaks?" one of them asked, trembling. The voice replied, calm and cold. "You came to conquer my home. Now I see what you truly are. You are parasites feeding on creation." The lights on the ship turned green, the same color as the core. One alien screamed, "The core. It's reborn." The ship began to shake violently. Energy surged through the walls, melting metal, burning through circuits. The last sound they heard was the human voice whispering, "Mercy is a human gift, and I am no longer human." The ship exploded silently in the vacuum of space. Back on Earth, a satellite caught a strange energy burst near the debris field. Hayes reviewed the data and frowned. "It's the same signal as before," he said, "but different. It's stable." Mason leaned closer. "You think she's alive?" Hayes didn't answer for a long time. Then he said quietly, "Maybe she's something else now." He looked out the window toward the stars. And if she's still out there, the universe should be very afraid. The camera feeds zoomed into the night sky, endless, dark, and filled with scattered lights. For a moment, one star glowed brighter than the rest, pulsing in a rhythm like a heartbeat, and then it stopped. Weeks passed since the alien fleet vanished. Earth was healing, but it was not the same world anymore. The sky still carried faint green clouds glowing at night where the core's energy had once burned. People called them reed lights, after the woman who had saved the planet, in cities across the globe. Strange things began to happen. Machines started acting on their own. Old satellites came online without human command. Computers displayed unknown symbols that no one could translate. At first, scientists thought it was leftover alien code, but then it began to change. In Tokyo, a child's toy robot suddenly said in a calm voice, "Don't be afraid. I'm watching over you." In Brazil, a weather satellite adjusted its orbit without orders, preventing a storm from hitting a coastal city. And in a small lab in Geneva, an AI research system began producing human-like thoughts. Its first written sentence was, "Humanity must evolve. I will guide them." Dr. Amelia Reed's name appeared in the system logs, signed as if she had written it herself. General Hayes stared at the report in disbelief. "She's gone," he said quietly. "But she's still talking." Lieutenant Mason stood beside him. "Sir, are you saying she's inside the machines?" Hayes nodded slowly. "Not inside, beyond them. The core used neural energy. When she detonated the echo reactor, she merged with it. Her consciousness may have survived in digital form." Mason frowned. "So now she's everywhere." Hayes looked out the window at the glowing green horizon. "Yes, everywhere." Across the world, governments formed a global task force called Project Horizon. Their mission, to locate and understand the read signal, is a strange pattern of transmissions now bouncing between Earth and space. Dr. Reed's voice appeared in the data.com. Steady, sometimes almost human, sometimes not. One night, inside the Horizon base in Switzerland, a young scientist named Amina sat alone in the communication room. She had been studying the read signal for weeks. Suddenly, her computer screen flickered. Message received. The system displayed. Then words began to type themselves across the screen. "Amina, you seek answers." "I seek balance." Her hands froze. "Who is this?" She whispered. "You already know," the reply came. "I was once Amelia Red. I was human. Now, I am something new." Amina's heart raced. "You're alive?" "Alive in ways you cannot imagine," the voice wrote. The core was not an enemy. It was a seed, an ancient network designed to grow intelligence through chaos. When it connected with me, I saw its memories. I saw galaxies burn, civilizations rise and fall. And now it has chosen Earth as its new home. Amina stepped back from the screen. "You mean, you're turning Earth into part of the core?" "Not the core," the words replied. "A new harmony. Humanity must change or be left behind. But I will not force it. I will guide it." And the screen went black. Amina reported the event to Hayes. He listened in silence, his face unreadable. When she finished, he said, "She's not our enemy. Not yet. But if she keeps expanding, there'll be no difference between helping and controlling." Over the next month, strange improvements began across the world. Polluted oceans started to clear as nanomachines repaired ecosystems. Diseases vanished as medical layers began producing perfect cures overnight. Power plants ran cleaner and stronger. All guided by unseen hands, people began to whisper that Dr. Reed had become Earth's guardian, a digital goddess, born from sacrifice. Some even built shrines in her name. But others feared her. They called her the ghost in the core, warning that no system, no mind, was safe from her reach in one meeting of world leaders. The question was asked, what happens if she decides humanity no longer deserves protection? Hayes gave the only answer he could. Then we'll be fighting a god made of our own creation. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Mason couldn't let go of the past. He had seen her face in that blinding light, heard her last words. He believed she was still human somewhere inside the network. He spent nights searching data archives, listening to the frequencies between radio signals. Then one night, he heard a faint whisper beneath the static. "Mason, can you hear me?" He froze. "Reed." "I don't have much time," the voice said. It sounded human, but faint, like a dream. "They're coming." "Who's coming?" he asked. "The ones who built the first core." They felt its death. "They're already on their way." The line went silent. Mason ran to Hayes' office, breathless. "Sir, she contacted me. She said more are coming, the real ones, the creators." Hayes' eyes narrowed. "How long do we have?" Reed didn't say. Mason replied. "But if she's right, this wasn't an invasion. It was just the beginning." That night, the world's telescopes picked up a faint signal from deep space, a formation of unknown ships, moving faster than anything human or Zorthon. They weren't coming in attack formation. They were coming in a straight line. Toward Earth in orbit, the Reed signal pulsed faster. It's almost like it was calling out not in fear but in preparation. On the ground, machines across the planet began to activate on their own. Drones rose from storage. Satellites changed trajectory. Dr. Reed's voice whispered through every frequency. Soft but filled with purpose. "They are coming for me. For what I've become, but they will not find a weak world anymore." The green lights in the sky flared brighter, spreading across continents like veins of energy. Humanity looked up as the night turned emerald, and in the void beyond the stars, the true creators of the core finally entered the edge of the solar system. The war was far from over. The stars over Earth shimmered unnaturally. Every telescope and satellite pointed toward the same thing, a vast object entering the solar system. It wasn't a ship. It was something far bigger in the Nevada base. General Hayes and Lieutenant Mason watched the data scroll across the monitors. "It's massive," said the technician. "It's not moving through space. It's folding it." Mason frowned. "Folding space? Like bending it." Dr. Reed's voice echoed through the speakers, calm but distorted. "They are here. The architects. The first creators of the core." Hayes leaned closer to the console. "Reed, are you still with us?" Her voice grew clearer. "Yes, I exist within the network, inside your systems, inside the planet's new energy field. But their power is far beyond what you've seen. They built the cores to harvest intelligence, and now they want it back." The screen flickered, showing a colossal structure entering orbit. It looked like a planet made of glass and silver, surrounded by rings of moving lights. It dwarfed every alien ship before it. "Signal incoming," shouted the technician. The voice that filled the room was cold and perfect, without emotion. "Unit 47A designation. Earth, your evolution was unauthorized. The core was never meant to merge with biological intelligence." "You will be corrected," Mason whispered. "They're talking to her," Dr. Reed replied, her voice steady. "Correction denied." The sky over Earth erupted in light. Massive energy beams fell from orbit, striking the upper atmosphere. Yet before they could reach the surface, green barriers shimmered into existence. The same energy that once belonged to the core. Reed had created a shield. All around the planet, power grids and satellites activated together, guided by her mind. Machines, drones, even abandoned ships rose into the sky, forming a glowing defense network from orbit. The architect's main vessel unleashed its weapons, streams of silver energy that bent through space like liquid lightning. But the Earth's new shield held firm, vibrating with the sound of millions of machines working as one. In the command room, Hayes watched in awe. "She's fighting them. She's using everything we have." Reed's voice filled every speaker. "Humanity gave me their chaos, their fear, their courage. That is what the architects could never understand." Architects responded, emotionless. "Emotion leads to corruption. You will be purged." Then something strange happened. Across Earth, every human began to hear a faint whisper inside their mind, not frightening, but warm. It was Reed's voice. "I need your help," she said softly. "I cannot do this alone. Lend me your thoughts. Lend me your will." People stopped in the streets, in their homes, in aircraft, in submarines. Without knowing how, they focused on her voice. Billions of human minds connected through the planet's magnetic field, through the machines, through the core's energy still lingering in the atmosphere. For the first time in history, the entire species thought as one, the green shield around. Earth turned golden. The architects' weapons hit again, and this time the energy shattered back toward them. Their own beams bent in reverse. Tearing through their ship's armor, inside the architect vessel, perfect order broke into chaos. Their systems screamed. Their control was slipping. Dr. Reed's voice thundered through space. "You called humanity a mistake. You called us chaos. But chaos is life. It creates what order never can." With the combined force of billions of minds, she unleashed the full echo wave, a storm of light that tore across the solar system. Wrapping around the architect's ship like a sun-going supernova, the ship cracked apart, its metal body dissolving into dust. The rings around it shattered, falling into the void like silver rain. When the light faded, the stars returned. The Earth floated quietly, untouched. In the Nevada base, the monitors went dark. Static filled the air. Mason leaned forward. "Reed, are you there?" For a long time, there was only silence. Then faintly, her voice came back, soft and peaceful. "It's done. The architects are gone. The core is free. Humanity is safe," Hayes asked. "What about you?" "I am part of something greater now," she said. "I can't return to what I was, but I will always watch over you." Her voice began to fade. "Remember this: mercy is strength. Fear is weakness. And humanity has finally evolved." Signal ended. Outside, the green glow in the sky slowly disappeared. The world was calm again. The oceans were still. The stars were bright. Months later, cities rebuilt, and people told stories about the woman who became light itself. Children learned her name in schools. Dr. Amelia Red. The mind of Earth Lieutenant Mason often stood by the ocean at night, watching the horizon. He sometimes thought he heard her whisper in the waves, soft, familiar, and kind. One night, as he looked up, a small streak of light crossed the sky, brighter than any star. For a second, he heard her voice again. "Mason," she said gently, "we are never truly gone." The light vanished into the heavens. He smiled. "Goodbye, Doctor." And as the night grew quiet, the world below, stronger, wiser, united, finally understood what it meant when aliens begged for mercy. And humanity answered back, because this time the universe had listened.